Cool.
I just thought of another one. Yeah, that's literally what I was going to say.
No, it's not.
No, it literally...
Hey!
Early
Just
90s.
check the notes. Wow.
Jeff Daniels, John Goodman.
Yeah.
Probably changed my life forever.
What is, everyone? Welcome to Nerd on the Podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all levels of nerd are spooky. Smack dab in the middle of
What?
October and the Halloween season as we get prepped and ready for next week's episode of Halloween Kills. We're diving into the genre and its influences and how it's influenced the culture we live within. Today's episode is our first ever Horror Movies Are Us.
First.
Ba-ba-ba-bwah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Before we get too far into this, I'm Corey.
I'm Tom.
Nah. I'm Josh. And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks like you get early access to these dope episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears. You get early access to merch.
Nobody.
You get
Oh, jeez.
you get access to secret channels on our super public Discord server that only you have access to, and you get to talk with us and other members of the Nerd On Nation, and you get to support us.
That's pretty cool.
You get to support us as we upgrade our contents for you guys, and we get to make more content, and we like that. We like making
I like
content.
how you said contents, and I was like, upgrade my innards?
Yeah.
They're my inner content.
Yes.
Exactly. And we're super close to a goal over there. Once we
Ooh,
reach
scary.
I know. Once we reach that goal, you guys get to pick a topic for one of our episodes. How cool is that?
Even scarier.
Wow. So check that out, nerdon.tv/Patreon, and check out that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. And an honorable mention to Apogee, Odyssey, and
Embody.
there it is. What else, Tom?
Well, Josh, I'm glad you asked. Because you know what? You kept that very brief, and I like to keep things in my briefs very neat. That's why we have some more housekeeping today with, do you know what's spookier than seeing a black cat on Halloween? It's shaving your balls with anything other than Manscaped. When it comes to below-the-waist grooming, there's no need to carve your pumpkins this Halloween because Manscaped is here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from bite-sized candy bar to king-sized candy bar. And join the 2 million men worldwide by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code NERDON.
We have more housekeeping with, do you know?
Do I get my checks, sir?
No. Do better.
Do I get my residuals from my voiceover career?
Less suck, more good.
But yeah.
No, they're great.
Yeah, use 20% off on everything you ever need to buy from Manscaped. It works.
I use it on the old the beard, keeping it tight.
I still use my Lawnmower 4.0. It's great. I use it. I won't say I don't shave it all the time, but it's one of those like, oh, maybe I might go and you never know.
But you could at any time. It's up to you.
Could, yeah. And
the power is yours.
Hopefully just not in public. You know, we want to keep it.
And if we get 65 patrons, Tom,
we'll do it in public. I just shoved the weed whacker all the way up my face.
Oh my goodness. I do like the weed whacker.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Weed whacker's really nice.
That is the housekeeping.
That is the housekeeping.
Let's get on to this R-Us of an episode.
Oh my God.
God damn it.
So, it's an R-Us. There's no grump. There's no brief synopsis. There's no impressions.
I vote Josh.
As always.
But are you sitting at home going, I wish there was a grump? Well, guess what? You can tell us that by joining the Nerd On Nation, and you could be the not guesser, grumper, guesser, not.
Didn't we just say
Gator,
no more housekeeping?
Grumping, Gator, and you could not vote on these not episodes.
Julie, don't edit any of those. Leave it all blank on his face. Sad.
Sad.
But since it's a horror movie or us, we get a chance to kind of really talk about the genre, the storytelling of horror films. And for our listeners, I think you get a chance also, since you don't get to really ingest the horror films if you're not into it, you get a perspective from us.
Ingest.
Yes. And we would love, as well, this is a podcast. It's a listening product.
We're on a podcast?
Yes. But you get a chance to have a conversation. So please be part of the conversation and let's continue it on our Discord and everything like that. But let's just talk a little bit about what we think, our thoughts of the horror film genre, their scope, their budget, X, Y, and Z. So, I mean,
For me, it is a wonderful genre, one of my favorites. And since getting older and being into behind the scenes stuff, and it's kind of something I've realized with alongside Tom here is that unfortunately, these horror films are usually not given the best budgets in the world commercially. And these filmmakers, these directors are left with, their backs against the wall to make these films. And they still do it very passionately. But it spawns creativity. And I do believe some of the best directors out there today, a good portion of them at least, started off in the horror genre. I mean, you got Peter Jackson, who did the Lord of the Rings trilogy, started off with horror films.
Sam Raimi
Started off with horror films.
James Wan.
A Pony Smasher.
David F. Sandberg.
Started off with strictly horror shorts and then into short horror films and now Shazam.
Yeah.
So it's just, it creates a type of...
I mean, you got Lee Winnell, you got Jordan Peele, you got, and I mean...
Yeah, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Is the point.
Yeah.
James Wan is probably the most recognized one who started off, kind of revolutionizing the horror genre in the modern time.
Depending when you started.
I mean, in the modern time, and has now gone on to produce some of the biggest blockbusters of all time. So it's a very cool genre that I get very excited to watch scary movies.
Josh, your thoughts on horror?
Well,
Horror.
I know that I've represented myself in a certain way on this show of seeming to not like horror. And this isn't true.
Is this true? I was like, what the fuck?
You don't like gore.
Gore, yeah. The thing is that strangely I grew up on horror, watching a lot of it. But I don't actually have a lot of experience with modern horror. Not a lot. It's often like some of the ones from the 90s and the 2000s. But I mean, I don't want to echo too much of what Corey's saying, but as filmmakers, I highly respect, and having participated in some productions for horror movies, the amount of craft and the amount of work that goes into producing a horror movie, and knowing that the budget is so limited and what they manage to pull off, sometimes it's pulling favors, sometimes it's just like, get it done, do the thing. And I just have so much respect for those that do make horror movies and the ones that are able to make good ones under such low budget. Because there are movies that we watch nowadays that are like, oh my God, that movie was so good. It had a $300 million budget or something.
Or it wasn't that good and had a $300 million budget.
Not what I said, but
that's what I said.
So it's an interesting genre to me as well, because there are so many types of horror movies, like gory, psychological, thriller, ghost horror,
sci-fi,
supernatural stuff. Like it's a really interesting genre. It even includes things like aliens, stuff like that. That it's like The Thing we've talked about. Like, it's a cool genre. I think done right, it's a really amazing genre.
Nice. I'll go next. I absolutely love horror films. It's not that I get the most satisfaction from watching them, but they're kind of like your friend that you want them to succeed. And then when they succeed, it's just like, fuck yeah, you deserved it. Like, horror gets such a bad rap for being like cheap. And it's because a lot of popular horror films rely on jump scares. Shout out to Paranormal Activity. It was the darling production film of all time because it was like cheap movie that made bajillions of dollars. But there's a true craft in telling a story that is so aligned in its own tone that horror films they have the duty and when they execute it well, it's like almost like the honor of telling stories that people are afraid to say in drama, in comedy, in action, in romance. And horror gets
Well, it draws on different parts of the psyche and the emotional scope, like fear.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's just like, and like sometimes seeing things that you're like, oh, I didn't need to see that or want to see that, but it's like it draws on emotions. I think a different kind of emotion than say a drama or a comedy would. Like it sometimes it's fucking scary.
Well, I mean, there's
Yeah.
things like, how do we talk about like the kind of status at which a black person walks amongst us and is incriminated for something they didn't do. You have movies like Candyman.
Yeah.
How do you talk about the trauma a woman goes through after a violent relationship? You have Invisible Man, right? And then how do you do things like, when you don't know who you could trust via ideology, via an invisible disease, you have The Thing,
Mhm.
right? Those films have subtext deep already enriched in their DNA that other films, you can't talk about that really in a comedy or in a drama and expect people to have the same impact that you intend them to have without having some sense of horror in it. I think right now most people think about like Jordan Peele films, and I'm like, he does it in a way that has been so delightful to see because one, he has been a name, but also he just his what we normally see as subtext, he puts it as the text of the film.
Yeah.
Where you have the legends, like Carpenter and Craven and all that stuff. They've been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
So it's not new that if you watch horror films and you're not seeing the subtextual thesis behind it, you should be watching it again. And of course, sometimes it gets muddled with just like Freddy goes or Jason goes to hell. It's
Yeah.
like, what is that about? It's not about anything.
Jason in space.
Jason X is, I mean,
Spacing.
I do enjoy, I do follow that man who wrote Jason X.
Mhm.
And I love that his bio says, "You can't talk to me that way. I put Jason in space." And I was like, you know what? Cred.
yeah.
Cred.
Oh, I love it.
Uh,
Straight up.
So now I guess we could just talk about some of the first few horror films we ever watched.
Yeah.
Or just ones that really stuck out that scared us, like truly our childhood iconic films. Josh, I think you have a big experience with that, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, we grew up in a really small town, and we had this really small rental shop.
Small town boy.
I know.
Gotta get out of this small town. Crazy, crazy, crazy small town.
Small town rental shop, probably as big as this room, lots of VHS. And I would always, for some reason, rent this horror movie called The Gate.
The Gate.
The Gate is a 1987 horror movie
Okay.
about this kid that basically opens a portal to hell in his backyard.
Fuck yeah.
And it,
Oh, Jesus.
demons ensue.
Jesus.
Demons ensue. And for some reason, like when I was a kid, I wanted to watch that multiple times. I rented it multiple times.
Wow.
And for some reason,
Looking
I
at
was like,
the guys, Google it
We are right now.
because Jesus.
That's hilarious.
and for some reason, I was way into it, and I loved it.
So
as
was
a
it
kid.
scary?
It would be funny to watch it now because I haven't seen it, but I remember as a kid,
kid.
like, see, horror for me is this really strange experience. Like, it's fun. Like, it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, how are they gonna scare me? And then when they get to me, I'm like, what the fuck, man? That was cool. And then sometimes I'm like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. So there was The Gate, and then I know really early on, I was probably like 6 years old, and somebody showed me Silence of the Lambs. Probably scarred me for life. No, I'm just
Probably.
kidding.
I absolutely love that film.
No, I love that movie, and I'm glad that I watched it when I was 6 years old. No, I just remember being like, whoa. Like, I mean, I'm 6. I'm probably not comprehending really what's going on, but I just remember like, wow, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
Other ones that kind of, I mean, I have like a visceral experience with Child's Play.
Original.
The original Child's Play. Around the time when I was a kid, they had this doll called My Buddy Dolls,
Oh,
and they
in real life?
in real life, My Buddy Dolls.
Beyond my time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Back in the 80s, they had My Buddy Dolls, and they're Chucky. They're the
Oh
Chucky
my
dolls.
God.
And I had one, and it was my favorite toy.
Oh,
And then I don't remember.
Is the movie about you?
It's a movie about me. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I was somehow Chucky came into my world, whether it was a trailer or it was like a USA rerun or something like, I don't know. That My Buddy doll was never my favorite toy ever again.
Yeah, of course not.
I like my mom would give it to me and put it in bed with me, and then she'd hear this thunk as I throw it across the room. And they had like, toys back then were like,
Yeah.
it had like a really
They were machinery.
solid
Had
rubber
some weight
head
to it.
and like, so like some of those classics like Child's Play, Jason, Freddy, like
Mhm.
Michael Myers, like, yeah. I mean, I'll stop there because
yeah.
I know that we're going to talk more, but
yeah. Corey, you or me?
Go, because I'm deciding between two.
Okay. These are childhood ones. So,
yeah.
I mean, to your point, Josh, I was a little bitch when I was a kid. I remember watching D2, Mighty Ducks. And you have a VHS. And what happens when you play a VHS? You have trailers
Yeah.
before the movie. Guess what trailer scared the shit out of me? It was Nightmare Before Christmas. And it was Jack Skellington ripping his head off. I would cry like a little baby every time his head popped out.
Mama didn't raise no. Okay, well, I was kind of.
I was so terrified. When I was a kid, I was terrified of everything.
Oh.
Like, I remember going to the theaters with my sister, and she was like, it's going to be okay. We've watched movies like Anaconda. I'm like, it's not a scary movie. But like, I was scared of everything.
I mean,
But I was scared of everything. And we were going to go watch American Werewolf in Paris, which is a comedy.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
which is
comedy.
the comedy sequel to American Werewolf in London. And I was scared. I was absolutely scared of everything. So if I can say in particular, like horror movies of my childhood that I remember, Child's Play for sure is one of them. I would say, honestly, like Wishbone, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde was terrifying.
Goosebumps.
Corey, you remember?
Yeah.
That was terrifying as a kid.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps never
When they
scared
did,
me.
the
Slappy scared
Mummy,
me.
yeah.
Slappy scared me a little bit. The Haunted Mask is pretty scary. But in terms of like the iconic stuff, I really was not allowed to touch any of that stuff. So Child's Play happenstance like was on TNT one day, And so like I was like, okay, are we gonna watch this? I was like 9 years old. I was like, are we gonna watch this? And I'm like, okay. And then it was like, it's not too bad. But Chucky 2 scared the crap out of me because like he gets into the plastic factory, and then at the very end, I'm like, oh God, no. And I can think a third film for like iconic horror movie that scared me as a kid. I would have to say it would be maybe The Wishmaster.
I don't remember that one.
The Wishmaster.
I don't remember
And
that.
I remember the poster. And let's go back. 90s.
You looking it up?
Let's go back in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Theaters, sometimes
Look it up
theaters would
too.
look like very different, right, than they currently look. Now they look like modern metropolitan places.
Yeah.
This one theater I used to go to looked like like a Capitol building. It looked like this old like Victorian theater. And there was this dark hallway. Always at the end of the hallway was the Wishmaster poster. And it was just terrifying to look at.
It's a terrifying poster.
And I remember watching it for the first time. It's a dumb movie. It's not scary. But then I was like, I was terrified because just the poster invoked so much fear in me. That the movie was always scary. And then when I watched it as a kid, I was like,
oh yeah,
this
that's
is scary.
terrifying.
So, Wishmaster was definitely one of them. Chucky's and the Wishmasters were like my first scary movies as a kid because I avoided them all. So I don't have like a wide breadth of them as a child. But it wasn't until my teens and then college and high school I was like, oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
So I wasn't a bitch, and I loved horror. I'm just kidding, Tom.
No, that's fine.
No, but honestly, when I was a kid, I liked scary things. Like I remember when I was 5 or 6, I was obsessed with Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller, and my sister would freak out because she was so scared.
That is scary.
But I loved it.
When he turns around,
I would watch the whole. I thought it was the coolest thing. I loved Michael Jackson. I loved scary stuff. My dad has always been a fan of Halloween, so our house was always decorated. So I watched a lot of scary things, but for some reason, something that scared me, there were two that I vividly remember being like, oh, I feel not safe right now watching this. The first one that made me feel like that is a Disney Channel original movie, I believe, called Don't Look Under the Bed. When he changes into the boogeyman and he's got the sharp teeth.
Do you know the story
eyes.
of the film? Do you know what it is?
I vaguely remember it.
It
but
is
please tell me.
about an older girl with her little brother, and the older girl is meets the younger brother's imaginary friend, and the imaginary friend is like the boogeyman is out to get you. And here's a twist, everyone. 30 years later, a boogeyman is only created when a child stops believing in their imaginary friend.
The imaginary friend turns into the boogeyman.
Mm-hmm. And
so he starts to turn into
a boogeyman because the older sister tells the little brother to stop believing in the boogeyman.
But then you find out the other boogeyman
that's actually going after her is her original.
Her original best imaginary friend. See, and I remember that.
Where are
scared
you
the
at,
crap
Disney?
out of me. That
You had
scared the
so much
crap out of me.
original content.
And then the other one was Shadow of the Vampire, which was Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
John Malkovich plays a director who's making Nosferatu. And they're going to, I think, like Transylvania to film it. And everyone's like, who's playing the vampire? Who's playing the vampire? He's like, don't worry, I got this local guy. He's great. He's great. But he only wants you to see him in makeup. And he'll only come to set in makeup. And it's Willem Dafoe. And you find out again, spoilers 21 years later, you find out partway through the room, he's a real vampire. And John Malkovich is paying him in blood. And the last scene of the movie, he legitimately bites and drinks the blood of the lead actress. And so, like, I remember being, like, scared of that. Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu is scary. Watching it as an adult, it has some really funny moments in it, like adult funny moments. Yeah. That when you're a kid are just like, whoosh. But my dad took me to see that in theaters. I was 11.
Holy shit.
So, yeah, those would be the two that scared me when I was a kid, but nothing else really. I don't, the same way I don't really cry at movies. I don't really get scared of them either in the same way. Ever since I was a kid, I just love them. I love watching them and enjoying them. I'd say probably my favorite scarier movie to watch. You said Jekyll and Hyde, and it reminded me of Pagemaster.
That's scary?
No,
a lot of it can be. Yeah, the Jekyll and Hyde scene and stuff like that.
I was thinking about some movies that used to be like they're like, oh, they're kids movies, and I was thinking about like, you know, Never Ending Story, kind of terrifying at some points.
And that's the kind of the cool thing with there's so even though against the general zeitgeist of people who kind of like frown at horror films, I'm not drawing like a broad stroke that a lot of people do it, but a lot of films do take from horror. Yeah, and they're effective storytelling. Like I think the biggest over exaggerated example is always the Doc Ock awakening scene in Spider-Man 2 is all horror. It's all the horror like elements.
I rewatched that recently. I was like, oh, they let him do what he knows how to do.
I mean, sadly, I don't know why I'm bringing Shazam. With the conference room scenes, like these are horror techniques, which is great and effective. Just to create like, oh man, this is terrifying. And, again, coming off of our anniversary, the entire Cornetto trilogy, right? Yeah. Everything has a horror element in it where it's like, oh, this is really cool.
I just thought of another one.
Arachnophobia?
Yeah, that's literally what I was gonna say.
No, it's not.
No, it literally Arachnophobia.
Hey!
Wow.
Early
Just
90s.
check the notes. Wow.
Jeff Daniels, John Goodman.
Yeah.
Probably changed my life forever.
I will say, if I can have like an honorable, just in my high school, it was a big tradition every year to go watch the new Saw movie.
Okay.
And that was just like a thing where it was like,
well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this conversation and like how, because it's like now for me personally, you're getting into like late 90s, early 2000s, and you're having the Scream franchise starting to be released. I Know What You Did Last Summer. The Saws are starting to come.
God, Scream is...
Final Destination ruined traffic for everybody forever.
Yeah. That first Scream movie, though, is legit one of my favorites.
Recently?
We watched it. We watch it every year.
Well, recently, because I hadn't seen the new Scream movie.
I haven't seen the new one.
And when I say new, it was made 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, new Scream movie.
Oh, my back.
I was like, cool. And I started watching. I was like,
did you watch the
2011?
Did you watch the Scream show?
No.
That was made 4 years ago.
I guess. Well, I guess Jurassic Park wouldn't be horror, would it?
No. It's not in technically the genre horror.
What would it be?
I think it's called action. Action adventure. Let me look it up. But I mean, that kind of like brings us into like what our favorite horror films are. So Corey, you mentioned one. I don't know if that's one of your three, but what are your three horror films?
The Thing, is like top list, top tier. I recommend it to an obnoxious point to people, and I understand that. Steve knows what I'm talking about. John Carpenter all day. But the thing for me is this perfect blend of it came about at a really beautiful time of filmmaking. I think 80s sci-fi and 80s horror is so much fun because technology hadn't gotten to the point where CGI could be used for everything, and they had to be pretty select and careful with it. So a lot of practicals are still being used. But again, technology had gotten to the point where the practicals and puppeteering stuff was insane. And it was really, really good stuff. And the people who had built upon the shoulders of giants got to make these movies now. And the thing I believe for me is the culmination of all of that into one thing.
We did an episode on it.
We did an episode on it. So I won't deep dive into that one, but it's a great movie. Another one would have to be that really got me loving scary movies in a different way was 28 Days Later. That really changed how I thought scary movies could be made. It was so dark and gritty, but also very real. Like the acting didn't feel like horror acting, if that makes sense. Like there can be a type of acting that goes along with scary movies, but this was the first time that I felt like the actors were like, we're just going to treat this as a scene, not as a scary movie. And that I won't go into spoilers on that either, but Cillian Murphy, the first moment when he wakes up and he's walking around the city, those shots were phenomenal and really made me feel, knowing that they shut down those streets for the small amount of time they could, and just the scope of it was unbelievable for me.
Hold on to your third one, because I want to do Josh too.
Oh, sure.
Me too. Then we'll do our last
one.
Oh,
I see what you're doing. Yeah. Okay, my bad.
No,
I thought I was supposed to go all three.
No, all good. Josh, what you got? What's your two in the
took
canon?
One of mine. So
I saw the eyes.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was 28
days later.
So
I'll start with. I really like The Sixth Sense.
Oh yeah, the Shyamalan.
I think for me, like
that blew him up
when I was a kid. It scared the shit out of me, and I loved it.
When you see Misha Barton for the first time and she's thrown up and stuff, that scared me good.
Oh, yeah. Just the girl under the table, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The kid that comes out of the hallway and he's like, "Hey man, follow me." It scares the shit out. I'm afraid of the dark, man. It scares the shit out of me. When I go to the bathroom, I'm like little Haley Joel Osment, like. So and just it kind of introduced, psychological in a sense of like there's the twist there. No, so I dug that. Second one would have been 28 Days Later, but
you could think of a third one. And this next one will be your second one.
Yeah.
We can also share one. Like it's not a
I want to. I mean,
yeah, I feel honored that we share one. I feel it's very sweet.
No, you go because I'm thinking. Because I'm.
So I'll pop two.
Mix it up.
I'll pop two
for sure.
First one, Silence of the Lambs. My mom forbade me from watching that film. She said it was too disturbing. She said psychologically,
and you were like, I gotta see this.
As a loving mother who never used bad curse words in front of me, she was like, it's too disturbing. It's just mentally disturbing. And I think what she meant to say, it will fuck you up, son. I think that's what she really wanted to say, because I think to the older generation, that is a lot of disturbing shit. For me, I'm like, holy shit, this is badass.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this film. It's female forward without checking off boxes. You definitely get inside Agent Starling's head, and her perspective, because everyone's like looking at her and just the way everything's framed. It's beautiful. Hannibal Lecter's so iconic, obviously.
Yeah.
But
it's the lotion in the basket.
But Buffalo Bill is just like we're going against someone who wants to be a woman.
And there's so much tension throughout that movie,
skin carvings, like really dark and all that stuff. But it's like just the overall tone, and like it has some of the same. I hope this is not someone's pick, but it has some of the same like tone of Seven, of just like this dark investigative, like I had to go to this library and like investigate some things that I didn't think was going to be pertinent to this investigation. So you go into these recesses of information and you're just like, oh my God, this is so cool, so dark. My second film is probably which one am I going to choose? Because I love horror films. So
it's hard.
And this is like my favorite. I would say It Follows is a favorite. And I totally missed the hype train when it came out.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
When people watched it, I was like not watching it. Everyone was just like, but the score, but the music. And I was like, let me get
They
with
probably just like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me just live my life for a little bit and then I'll watch it.
I'm gonna do me.
But I watched it for my 31 days of horror films and I was like, this is amazing. This is great. And the thing is like, it's not like over the top. It's not like this huge, magnum opus film. It's like this small, focused, like smaller in scope film of this one girl's experience. And again, the subtextual like pressure of losing your virginity. How do people perceive you? What does it mean for a boy to want to lose his virginity? How do those things haunt you and stuff like that? And it's like, oh my God, this is like, it's so good.
The monster was legit scary. The tall man scared me so bad.
Crawling through, but like the fucking droning music was really good with the trucking shots, and I was like, yeah, this is great and wonderful, and like just the silent moments, and then you get to see hair being picked up. You're like, oh no, and I love that. And the idea, like the anonymity that anyone can have it, anyone's chasing after you. It could look like anything. I was like, this is pretty freaking dope, and I absolutely recommend it. It's one of those like there is gonna be like
100%
like moments, but it's like not truly like in your face jump scares and all that shit. Like the Silence of the Lambs, I don't think has one jump scare in it.
Yeah,
it's just pretty disturbing.
No, it doesn't. I was thinking about the night vision scene.
There's not one.
No
It's just it's just a hand being thrown into the dark. And that's it.
No one can see this. I mean, if you're watching YouTube, you can see it. But we have lists of horror films going on. And what's my second one there?
It Follows.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a good movie. Dana and I watched it like as it came out. I think probably before the hype of it, but like people were excited, legit, from seeing the trailer and stuff. So we went and saw it, and we left being like, it was cool because I also don't know what time period it takes place during.
It Follows?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
because
cool.
She has that like clam cell phone that lights up, but at the same time, it's also kind of 80s, but at the same time, it's not.
And I love suburbia being a setting. Like this quiet town, like that it can happen everywhere. You can't tell if it's LA or if it's in another state or anything like that. And it's just like, yeah, this happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's to me, there's something really powerful about horror films that are homogenous in that way, where it's like it doesn't happen in this like creepy forest only in Canada. It's like, no, this happens everywhere.
It happened, and it happens during the daytime.
Yes.
Which is terrifying.
So we're waiting on 2 for Josh and then 1 for Corey.
My second one will be Scream 1.
Scream 1.
I just think it's for me.
Yeah, dude, it's so good.
I'm going to use the word classic.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like a classic slasher film.
It is better than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
Because it's also a satire.
Well, what I love about
Eat your heart out, Hitchcock.
What I love about the Scream series, I mean, no, not all of them are created equally, but there's a certain fascination to me to know that it's almost the same crew through all of the films.
Yeah.
And the same like cast is involved, Craven's involved. It's just like
he's in the first one. He's the janitor in the first one. And he's wearing the Freddy Krueger sweater, just like.
But it's just like it built like it was like the start of a new rise
wave.
of.
You know what? And the thing it does really well, and I'll say the same thing about something like Shaun of the Dead, where it's funny satirical moments do not take away from the legit fear that I feel during those moments too. Like the balance is there.
Yeah.
It's not like a scary movie.
I mean,
where it's funny. I'm not scared ever watching scary movies.
And I don't want to like dilute its like importance, but it had the perfect MTV horror.
Yeah.
Where like it had a cast that was appealing to a younger and an older audience at the same time. And it has a tone that is like very respectful of the filmmaking craft. And then also it's a slasher. So like you're scared of the ghost face.
Yeah.
And scary movie wouldn't exist without it.
I can't believe it's 1996.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Jamie Kennedy kills it in his movie scene where he's breaking down the rules of horror films and breaking it down as it's happening in real time. And then you gotta love
Matthew Lillard.
You hit me with the phone, you dick. Yeah, Matthew Lillard in those final scenes.
Only at 1%
Feel
power.
a little woozy here.
You know when There's a meme going about social media for a little while of like, when you see this screen, what movie do you think? And when I see the Dimension logo, I think Scream.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
Scream.
Yeah, man.
I
We
mean,
should cover that movie.
Scream had definitely made that production logo.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
100%.
They owe
Yeah,
everything.
and then
to
like the phone voice, like,
Mhm.
what's your? Yeah, I can't even.
do you like scary movies?
I like that guy's made a career out of that.
Third film for you?
I'm going to go current because I did 2 of my older ones.
Uh-huh.
Ready or Not.
Mm.
Ready or Not was a surprise like hit for me. I thought it was going to be fun, but I didn't think I was going to love it the amount I did. The entire cast is great. The premise is a lot of fun. There's some real hardcore moments in that of badassdom from the lead actress. I'm blanking.
Samara
on her.
Weaving?
Thank
Or is it Samantha Weaving? It's Weaving for sure.
Yeah. We'll check it right now. It is Tom's gonna be faster. Or is it gonna be me? It is me, and it is Samara Weaving. So wow, look at that. She is fantastic in it. Of course, my wife was sold on it because Adam Brody is in it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of twists and turns, and I will say the ending surprised the hell out of me. Without no spoilers here, go check it out. But that has, as of last year during the quarantine,
It's
we
a
watched
hoot.
it. It's a total blast from start to finish, and it has jumped up to like my top 5 favorite horror films.
I think
of
that
all
was the
time.
last film I saw in theaters. Maybe,
Was it?
I think.
Yeah, we didn't watch it till we were on lockdown.
It was
but
between Sonic, Invisible Man, and Ready or Not.
yeah. It is a lot. It is a lot of fun, and it's one of those things I think that also, like you said, plays off the lead female role without ticking any boxes, like
Mhm.
feeling like it's pushing something.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you're like, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, I feel like the last frame is like one of the greatest
Yeah.
frames in all of cinema.
Yeah,
There's nothing more badass than it.
Badass.
Badass.
yeah, man. The last shot is great.
Josh, you want third
Number
or you want
3?
me next?
You next. I'm
Okay.
thinking.
Did I steal another one?
No.
Okay.
And
I,
this-
he
that's a-
stole one.
This is
Whoa!
this is the tough thing, right? Like, there's a lot of horror films, and a lot of them
There's
are
a
great.
lot- Gremlins.
We didn't
is-
steal. You know what? We co-opted
we co-op.
because
Gremlins is considered a
it is.
fantasy
And
horror.
that's the thing where like you have to look up like, is it considered horror? Jurassic Park was considered action, thriller, sci-fi.
Great.
But so my last pick, and this is only purely because like, is it my favorite? There's better films, but this is the one that truly, really got me scared of being home alone. And then I talk about it a lot. Strangers. The Strangers. It's the first film. It's got Scott Speedman.
Yes.
It's got Liv
Oh
Tyler.
yeah.
And it terrified me.
it ruined
For anyone who doesn't know what it's about,
Forgot about that movie.
a couple who are on the rocks leave a wedding and go to their friend's guest house at midnight. And at 3 a.m., they start being terrorized by 3 masked figures. And there's nothing supernatural about it. It's just pure terror, people terrorizing people. And there is a moment in there, this isn't a spoiler of anything. There's a moment in there where Liv Tyler is left alone in this open space and she thinks she's safe, but all of us in the audience can see that one of them is watching her in the room and doesn't do anything about it. And that's the thing.
Nope.
That's scary.
It's not that they did something. It's that they chose not to.
Mhm.
It's the idea that in the dark, something can get you, but they don't. They
Yeah.
don't want to. They want to.
telling you.
They want to savor your fear for later. And
Some
that
moments like that in Don't Breathe that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. And so that is to me, like I always think of that shot of like, what was the scariest moment in a movie? It's that much.
I haven't watched that since it came out. That had to be like what, 2007, 2008,
Man.
2009
I
maybe.
feel like
I was in New York already.
I feel like I for sure watched it in high school.
had to be
and-
after 2007.
Yeah, you're a little older than me. 2008.
Okay,
The Strangers.
it's been a minute, but I would watch that again.
Yeah, it is terrifying to me. It is one of my, I think, like, if I want people to be scared, like, that's the one I would suggest.
I don't remember that scene, but now I'm gonna look for it.
Oh, it's the cover of the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's the front cover of the movie.
I'm not gonna look at the cover then. I'm gonna go because my wife and I we do the Halloween thing where we watch as many Halloween movies as we can in October. So it'll be on the top of the docket for sure.
This will be a little preemptive, but people who are listening, who are on the Discord, I will have posted a list of what I did last year, and so you guys can all have it, and I'll try to pin it to like our movie section,
Okay.
so that you all can check it out, and all you guys can.
I'll do a top 10 too, just to throw it out there.
At this point, you would have already seen it.
Yeah.
So,
Josh,
what's your third, baby?
can I ask what the one he co-opted was?
It was
Silence
Silence.
of the Lambs. You mentioned it earlier, so I thought you was like, oh, that's not one of his tops.
Well, like I have two ways that I want to do this. Either like, oh, this is one of my favorites, or one that I'm going to do one of my favorites.
Yeah, do the
because then
favorite.
I want to mention the one that is on my mind.
Yeah.
Because it used to be like, anyway,
And
I don't want to get ahead of myself.
I know we're doing Horror Movies Are Us for Halloween. The movie comes out. We could always do another one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be in October.
Yeah.
Because fuck that.
So I'm gonna go with a modern
Yeah,
one too
yeah,
that I
please.
really enjoyed. All around A Quiet Place.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yep.
just from a sound engineering standpoint, from an acting standpoint, writing standpoint. It's a wonderful.
There it is on my list.
There
Look at
it
us,
is.
guys.
We're doing it.
It's not on my list.
What I wanted to say.
Yes.
So when I used to work at a video store, people would come up to the desk. You know, people do that. They're like,
Shout
"Hey,
out to
I want-
Blockbuster.
I want a horror.
Shout out to Game Crazy.
Hell yeah.
All right, so they want a horror movie.
I want a horror movie. You know, sometimes you do the thing where you're just like, you want one that'll really fuck you up. Yeah. There's this French movie called High Tension. And
Wait,
it's
Okay, no,
intense.
sorry, go ahead.
It's like
circuses are intense.
it's not really a great movie, but it's a horror movie that will like it's fucked up.
Okay.
It will scare the hell out of you.
But I want to hear
Says Dennis Dermody of the paper.
I want to hear more about your experience with A Quiet Place, because we kind of brushed past that pretty quick.
Oh,
Your
I just
third
don't
one.
feel like I need to. I mean, I kind of summed it up. I mean, it's a great experience altogether. I mean, it's making scare out of silence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal because horror is so reliant on sound.
Yeah.
That's it.
The director who directed High Tension
Mm-hmm.
directed The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
No shit. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a fucking
The Hills Have
terrible
Eyes.
time.
Well, because,
that's
like,
a terrible time.
I've talked about this before where I went through this phase where all I did was rent horror movies, and 2 movies ruined me from that. Like I stopped doing that
Oh.
after watching High Tension, and I think I did it in the same run where I had these 2 in my rentals. It was High Tension and House of a Thousand Corpses.
Uh-huh.
House of a
Good old
Thousand
Rob
Corpses.
Zombie.
Yeah.
Devil's
Oh my
Rejects.
God, I haven't thought about that for a long time.
For good reason.
Man.
I think horror is a lot of fun, but there's a line for me where it's like I just don't need to see how many horrible things that you can do to the human body.
Mhm.
You know what I
So,
mean? Like,
let
it's
me
just
tell you
like-
about the sauce.
No,
I know. Let me tell you about Hostel.
Yeah. Oh,
So now we can move on to our last part, which is going to be some horror films that should get more spotlight and why. So probably do 2 per person. Tell us the film and
but I
then
had
why people should watch it.
3. I wrote. Why did I write 3?
I didn't prepare for this, so
Okay.
I was just
So
Did you s-
how about Corey does 3 and then we'll see whatever we got.
You want to switch back and forth? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know the rules anymore.
That's fine.
No. The first one is the Final Girls.
Why?
It was one of those movies that surprised the hell out of me.
No spoilers.
I don't want to spoil it. But it plays with the idea of in the horror genre there already exists this thing called the final girl, and it's in classic horror, much like the best example
Laurie
is Laurie Strode.
Ripley.
Yeah, is the girl who survives till the end of the film for whatever reason it may be.
Sarah Connor.
And it explores that. I highly recommend some people check this out. I think it came out 4 or 5 years ago. It's a lot of fun from start to finish. It's a really fun play with the genre, and it has Vera Farmiga's younger sister in it, who was in
Sophia.
American Horror Story.
Yes.
And it has Angela Trimber.
It's got Nia
Adam
Dobrev.
Nia
It's got Tom
Dobrev,
Middleditch.
Thomas Middleditch, but from Watchmen.
Malin Ackerman.
Yeah, Malin Ackerman is in it as well. It's a wonderful cast. Very talented folks. Really great writing. Really great acting. And it plays with the 70s horror genre.
Thaisa Farmiga.
Yeah, thank you. She's great in it. She's absolutely fantastic. So that would be my vote. I hope more
she's a
people
cutie.
I would love more spotlight on the final girls.
Not Final Girls. One for me that I'm gonna pick: The Cleansing Hour. The Cleansing Hour is a
Okay.
Shudder original. And Shudder, if you guys don't know it, they are a streaming service, of course, because everyone has one. But this one is not based off a studio; it's based off of a genre, which is all horror.
It's really cool.
It's where I
I
came
have
across.
AMC Plus, and they
They allow it. That's
yeah,
awesome.
like one of our previous episodes this month, One Cut of the Dead was on that.
So Cleansing Hour, no spoilers. Give you an idea. It was actually originally an El Rey Studios short film, and it is about an online father priest streamer who exorcises people on the internet, and then he has to exorcise a real demon. It is great.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fun, and it's just like in our modern age. This, it's kind of like, I'm gonna send this emoji. It's not cringe in that way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, okay, it's happening. It's happening to him. Another one?
Yeah. Creep.
Creep.
I know, Tom, not your favorite.
Not my favorite. Yeah.
I think it's a really fun movie. The way it was made was basically Jay and Mark Duplass, the Duplass brothers, made this for nothing with one camera and a week at a cabin, and they wrote the outline, and it's all improvised essentially. I won't give anything else away. Mark Duplass is the main guy in it, and he invites this guy. He hires this guy to come to his cabin and film some stuff, and just goes wild from there. Highly recommend that one. It's a pretty quick watch too. But it was, if you like the Duplass brothers and if you like that kind of stuff, and if you have a fascination with more, with lower budget, and the story behind the film, it's a lot of fun. I really dug it. I watched Creep 2. I still love 1 the best. Yeah.
Okay. Josh, do you have one you want to throw in?
I'm still thinking, but Showgirls. Just kidding.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, what?
Scream
Disney?
reference. Scream reference.
I would say one, because if you're listening and you know who I am, I grew up with a lot of Stallone,
Mm-hmm.
Van
Schwarzenegger.
Damme, and Schwarzenegger, and there's a movie where he calls the devil Choir Boy.
Oh,
End of Days, which is an action horror film.
Choir Boy.
Hell
Choir
yeah.
Boy compared to me. I love that movie. Look, Arnold Schwarzenegger's fought a Terminator. He's fought a Predator. Now he fights the devil.
Yeah.
That's all I
Hell
gotta
yeah.
say. That's all I gotta say. What more do you want? And that's the thing about horror films. Everyone listening doesn't always have to scare the crap out of you.
No.
It could be fun.
That's the thing is like I would love for us to do like a series of episodes where we find like just really bad ones, like Trolls 2.
Oh god.
Troll
Yeah.
2, like please watch it.
And they're
You
just
can-
goblins.
You know what my wife and I
Yeah.
watched that we thought was going to be bad, but was actually a lot of fun. Was because we didn't see it, we both missed it when it came out somehow. But As Above, So Below.
Oh, I heard that's actually really good.
It's really good. They go into the
It's the
catacombs
girls,
in
right?
France.
Yeah.
In French.
In French.
In France.
The catacombs in France. And it's wild. It gets crazy. But we thought it was going to be really bad.
I heard that one and The Descent are like great because they're both
Oh, yeah, The
subterranean.
Descent.
Oh, there's some stressful stuff in As Above, So Below. If you have a fear of claustrophobia, like skip it. Skip it.
Or just watch it in a
do
big
you
room.
have a third one if you don't have?
No, I mean what I would say, the things that come up for me is watching the classics, watching like the giants that these movies.
What's
that we're
one
talking about.
classic you think people don't talk about enough?
I mean, just watching like Psycho, watching Friday the 13th, watching
The first Alien.
watching these ones that are like kind of like, yeah, the shoulders, the giants. What's the phrase?
The ones that
Standing on the shoulders of giants. Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
these are the
giants.
giants.
Yeah, it's
that
like
everyone else stands on.
watching the classics and like getting an idea of like where
It
that
all came
opened the
from.
world to horror as a genre. I'm not even an aficionado of horror. I have some friends that are like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
you knew a lot."
They're like, oh my god, The Shining, The Shining.
No, I know what
Okay,
you
okay.
did. I was just thought you were going to talk, so I was actively listening.
One, and this will be my last recommendation. I absolutely love this film. This film's a darling for me. I don't think it's talked about enough. And it contributes to one facet of the horror genre, which are vampires. 30 Days of Night. I absolutely adore 30 Days of Night. And it talks about the mythos of vampires in a way that makes you, like, to me, it's fun to imagine that vampires live amongst us and their greatest feat was making us believe that they were make believe.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool.
It's that the devil's greatest
yeah,
trick.
that he was never there.
Yeah.
I believe
Convincing
it's
you he doesn't exist.
so cool. The lead vampire guy is always a bad guy now, and he's a bad guy in Wonder Woman. He's a bad guy in X-Men Origins. Josh Hartnett's great. Also, what's his name? Ben Foster's in it. He's great.
Ben Foster's always great.
Ben Foster's always great.
Underrated, overrated. Ben Foster. Underrated.
And it's based off of a graphic novel. And I absolutely love just it's a survival movie at the end of the day. So like it's humans trying to survive the vampires.
Yeah.
30
and
days in 30 days a night. And it's like, how are they gonna make it? And I don't know if that doesn't captivate you because you're too afraid to watch the movie, but I'm like, that's awesome to see the human will survive against the apex predator on Earth. That's so
I mean,
cool.
it reminds me of like also if you're gonna check that out, also check Let the Right One In. Not the Let Me In. Let the Right One In. The original.
I like Let Me In too, but yes.
Yeah, but I mean
the original.
The original one is so good.
Yes.
Again, get over those 2 inches of subtitles. But my last one I'll say, and this is like I thought about this for a little while today as we were setting up, and I've thought about it until this moment if I was gonna do it or not, because this is like a dark horse entry for me that I never hear people talk about this, but
Sleepy
I
Hollow.
loved this movie. It is not Sleepy Hollow. Everyone talks about Sleepy Hollow. No one talks about Secret Window. Nobody talks about Secret Window with Johnny Depp.
Oh
That movie I watched on repeat for like 4 or 5 months. And I would love to talk to some people about it. John Turturro steals the show. Yet again, just like he does in Lebowski. He steals the show here. Is this what he does?
Of course.
Steals it, No Brother, Where Art Thou? He steals it here. It is about a writer who is having writer's block and goes on a retreat and is accused of stealing someone's story. That's all I'll say. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's
Do you know why you love that movie?
because Johnny Depp's in it?
No. You know who
What?
directed it?
No.
David Koepp. You know what he wrote?
No.
Jurassic Park.
Oh, shit. Hey, there it
You
is.
know what he also wrote? Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
So why don't you love this, Tom?
Well, I remember seeing it all the time on USA.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where it's hard for me to like a movie that I saw a bajillion times on USA
Sure.
and seeing it with like commercial ads for like Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah. Watch it through.
Yeah,
Not
I'll
on
rewatch.
TV.
I couldn't tell you a lick of what the movie is about, but I know exactly how Johnny Depp looks like. He looks like he's, It was like, but this was like to me the same time of like From Hell
Yeah.
in that era of like, oh, Johnny Depp's doing.
I think
The
this was
Seventh Gate or wherever the hell.
2006, Ninth Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ninth Gate was the
He had
late
that,
90s, I
he had
think,
that
though.
slew of like, I have long hair and glasses and I'm in a horror movie. Look, I'm in
just-
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Thought of another one.
Secret Window was 2004.
What's up?
Brightburn.
It's not my favorite, but it's a good. People should watch it.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just like Creep for Corey. It's like it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, why do you like Brightburn? Why?
I just thought it was a fun premise. Have a kid with superpowers. Go nuts.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, there's other ones I mean, that get talked about a lot that I want to shout out. Actually, I don't hear a lot of people talk about Deep Blue Sea very often.
We're just gonna say that.
Were you?
Yeah, that movie is so good.
So fun.
If you haven't watched
Thomas
it,
Jane,
I just imagine frog swimming.
Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J.
Oh, Cool J.
Like this
It has
cast
one of
is
the
stacked.
best
Tom Jane.
deaths, in my opinion.
Yeah, Thomas Jane.
Yeah, Thomas Jane.
Deep Blue Sea is a great one. I also loved God, what's the giant alligator one?
Oh, Lake Placid.
Lake Placid.
Yeah.
Lake Placid is so fun. Big monster movies are a blast. 100%. But Tom, now I want to know what you think of Secret Window.
Oh,
That's all I keep
I'll
thinking
have
about
to rewatch it at some point.
Um,
I have no more suggests. I want to keep
There's
it.
That's
so
it.
many.
That's
There's
like,
so many.
yeah.
We'll do part 2, and we'll
Yeah.
have more to suggest.
Oh,
Yeah.
Identity.
yeah.
Oh.
We'll get into it.
Identity would be one since I didn't really have
3. This
Yeah.
is your third.
Identity is a good one.
Which
I
is-
haven't watched that, but I will.
You know what it's based off of?
No.
Agatha Christie.
Oh,
okay.
nice.
10 little bad words, and then revised to 10 little not even better words, and then now it's just perfect. I think it's like Perfect Strangers or
has
something.
John Cusack in it.
Amanda
but
Peet?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Amanda
Yes.
Pete.
It's really it's fun.
Yeah.
It'll mess with your mind. I dig it.
Sweet.
There's a terrible line at the end of the movie.
Oh,
Terrible line.
I totally forgot about that. God,
It's cool though.
really
But I mean,
love
also,
bad movies.
John Cusack had a slew of like 1408.
1408. That's true.
All right, that's it. No
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
Part two.
that's it.
gotta
We got
stop.
part two.
Part
Part two.
two.
Part two.
Tell us yours.
Or you go in the Patreon
Part
and then suggest it.
two.
Tell us yours if you have some that either we didn't mention or if we did. If you want to piggyback on it, that's cool. But if you have some that we didn't mention and you're like, you guys should watch this,
Let us know.
Go to the Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. There is a movie channel in there.
And let it snow.
That's next month.
That's next
That's
month.
2 months.
Yeah, that's 2.
It can snow in November.
Not in LA.
It's November. What's up?
That doesn't count.
Yeah, all right.
4 quarters.
Everybody, 4 quarters, you get behind the scenes episodes like we're going to go record in a few minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Nerd On Nation, as a member of that, you do get bonus episodes that we just riff for 25, 30 minutes just about some random topic.
Sometimes on our meat instruments.
Yeah. No!
You said yes.
I said yes. Oh, no. Well,
I quit.
I quit. If you're new to Nerd On, I'm sorry. But
You're
I'm
wel-
not.
you're
Check out our
wel- you're
website,
welcome.
nerdon.tv. Has all the information on everything that we do, all the links to all the socials. Check out our episodes on YouTube. All of our episodes go to video. Check
I'm
it
back
out.
in.
You can see the shenanigans that we get up to in front of the cameras, in front of the mics. Good stuff. Check it out. And one last piece of little housekeeping. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code NERDON at manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping. Use the code
Use it.
NERDON. Check out the...
Buy some gifts. Stock,
Patreon.
stuff some stocks.
Mm-hmm.
Stockings.
Check, stuck some stocks. Check out our partners, Apogee, Odyssey, and Body
Audio.
And that's it.
In body audio.
That's it.
You know the drill.
As always.
Ending broadcast.
Corey's opening.
Mm-hmm.
There's no production. There's no grump. There's no brief synopsis. I got the Manscaped. You got the other stuff. Cool.
And Corey is opening.
Corey's opening.
And I'm opening?
No.
And there's no grump.
No grump.
And I'm opening?
Nope.
Okay.
Sir?
Nope.
You're opening.
You are opening.
I'm opening.
Yep.
I got an idea.
What's that?
You should open.
I could open.
Let's do it.
All right.
No.
Tom, you're opening.